welcome to Divine Sacred Tarot. Today's slightly different because I keep getting messages for the Divine Masculines around the Divine Feminines, and I am strongly called to focus on what is happening around the Divine Masculines, but it's heavily influenced and surrounding by the inner divine masculine. So if you are a divine feminine, identifying that energy of the divine feminine, should I say, you are probably focusing on your own journey. You're focusing on the healing that you need to do at this time. You might be triggered quite heavily around your family, friends, people surrounding you. And the good thing about this is, yes, healing does come in layers, and you are seeing a lot of information that is helping you heal. And it could be quite raw, like you're probably feeling a lot of raw energy right now. Um, Even though you may be experiencing triggers, they're also allowing you to acknowledge how far you've come, knowing that everything is vibrationally aligned to you. So I wanted to pull out some cards first and foremost that kind of give us an overall energy about what is going on for the divine masculines. Now, significantly, we have the Four of Pentacles, the Judgment card, the Two of Swords, and the Chariot. Um, I'm going to pull some more cards regarding specific questions, but the overall message that I'm getting right now is I feel that the divine masculines, the inner divine masculines, are holding on for dear life. Like there is so much that is being shed by the divine feminines, and the divine masculines really holding on. I feel like, again, these messages is for the inner divine masculine towards the inner divine feminine. But obviously, when you're going through things, divine feminines, your masculines are going through something very similar. So take the energies as they resonate, leave the rest. The Four of Pentacles does mean holding on too tightly. You know, there is a fear of loss, there is a fear of change, there is definitely some sort of being guarded, being protective of their heart energy, their emotions. But I feel that you're becoming aware of the difference between protection and caging in. The divine masculines are heavily occupied in reflecting on the past, right? Going through the current emotional state. This is definitely um, giving them the energy of being closed off. They are withholding for sure. They are fearful of that vulnerability. And I feel like this is being mirrored for the divine feminines. So even though the divine feminines, you are clearing your old beliefs, your comfort zones, the material security based thinking that has kept you from opening up to any connection in the past. I feel like you are trusting yourself, divine feminines, but the catalyst of this is the fear that's coming through is knocking into your own healing, into your own transformation, and it's bringing about deliberate shifts because this judgment card is a waking up call. You know, neither of you can ignore what is coming up, the things that are being purged, the things that are wanting to rise, wanting to elevate. I'm also seeing like dragon energies, the dragons burning through the layers of gunk and muck and the older versions of you. It's basically a call to rise into the phoenix energy, a call to rise into your higher self, divine feminines, because the divine masculines and you, divine feminines, are not separate. You're in union. Whenever you are feeling things, they are do too. There is a profound moment of spiritual awakening and reckoning. This is a kind of dark night of the soul type energy, but it's also meaning that the divine masculines are going through this inner transformation. They may likely be triggered by a connection or a recent event. And divine feminines, if you're feeling kind of thrown off your energy, it's because you're transmuting this with your own divine masculines. Your own inner divine masculine is teaching you ways to shed those layers of trauma, of childhood pain, of, a lot of you are going to have a very specific type of healing that keeps coming back around. And that healing just unveils more layers, but it definitely is pointing towards a past version of you being able to release those old patterns. It is a karmic rebirth. You are being called to step into your alignment and purpose, and vice versa. So is the divine masculines. Now, when we've got these Two of Swords, there is this indecisiveness. There is this stuck energy between the head and the heart, avoiding the choices that no longer are an option. I feel like the divine feminines are probably taking a lot of responsibility upon themselves as well. And yes, the Two of Swords can be this element of indecision, emotional blocks, avoidance, but the divine masculines have also been suppressing the feelings. I feel that the divine feminines are heavily in this energy of emotional suppression. This kind of replicates this hermit energy of staying quiet, going inwards, like kind of cutting themselves off from the external world, but also like remaining silent as much as possible because they know words and thoughts and feelings are powerful, but they need to process their own circumstance. And it doesn't necessarily mean that you need to talk about it. It just means that something is happening and it needs to play out in its own specific way, and you're honoring that. I really love the fact that the divine feminines are honoring what is being played out, and you're not rushing this type of healing. I feel like you're being way more patient than you have been before, but it's also denying yourself the depth of connection between you and yourself. And that's obviously blocking out the connection between you and other people around you. So the pressure is here to choose to rise, but the divine masculines are also feeling that pressure to make a decision, to move forward, even if it feels a little bit difficult. And the funny thing is we also have the Chariot card right after the Two of Swords. So even though there is an indecision at the bottom of the deck, we have the Hanged Man. So yes, there is a conflict between wanting to move forward, but then also knowing and honoring and respecting where they are right now. So this divine masculine is taking the reins, is no longer hiding from their feelings, no more waiting, but just trying to align their will and their emotions towards you, divine feminines, towards the union, because there is a breakthrough coming. There is a stagnation to emotion, and it feels as if nothing's happening in the external, but the divine feminines, internally there is something big going on. So I'm going to go ahead and do another shuffle and see to some of these questions that are coming up. So if you're resonating with these messages, please do click the like button. Let me know if you're resonating, and comment below of what exactly you're resonating with, because the divine masculines are awakening. They're partially awakening. They're either awakened or they're not. So what are they currently awakening to? Oh, thank you, Queen of Cups, but it kind of came up in the inverse. I, I, I feel that this is back into the emotional anguish. I was thinking about the Two of Swords as I was thinking that, and funnily enough, the Two of Pentacles is at the bottom of the deck. And what I find really interesting about this in particular, I was shuffling and the King of Cups came out. Now, I haven't had a Divine Core card pairing in such a long while, but the Divine Masculine's awakening to this romantic, intellectual, higher dimensional union. And I split the deck, and we've also got the Two of Wands. So we've had the Two of Swords, the Two of Pentacles, the Two of Wands. There's a lot of union energy around here. There's a lot of the divine masculines awakening to a deeper connection. That's what they're awakening to. That's what they are trying to understand. What is the divine masculine wanting to understand around their soul purpose? The Fool. Oh, okay. And the Eight of Wands. So the Queen of Cups wanted to be acknowledged in this particular message. When the divine masculines have begin to take responsibility of their own emotions, they can start this new beginning with, okay, so they're seeing the world through their emotions, but in a way that makes them see more beauty. You know how some people say, "Oh, I would love more love in my life," and they forget that actually love is everywhere. Love is in the food that they treat themselves to, the movement that their body can withhold, the immune system that they have, the way that your body is abundantly growing and processing and evolving each and every day is love. And we forget those signs. We forget that, a flower blossoming in concrete isn't love, and it is. It's being aware to this type of energy, and that's being communicated by the universe. That is what's being communicated. The Emperor card wanted to come out now. So these high vibrational cards, the Queen of Cups, the King of Cups, the Fool, the Eight of Wands. And when I was talking about the universe showing the divine masculines love, I see the Emperor wanting to come out at that specific time because it's allowing the divine masculines to acknowledge the mountain that the divine masculines had had to climb, the difficulty that they had in controlling this journey, in acknowledging what their soul purpose had been trying to tell them. And I feel like they're opening themselves up to more communication with the universe. So the divine masculines, the inner divine masculines, are communicating a lot with the divine feminines. And that's where the divine feminines are also transmuting this energy. Even if you're not even speaking to your divine masculines in the external, in the internal, you're constantly communicating and supporting each other in the astral. What illusions or programmings are the divine masculines breaking free from? And this is the divine feminines in a divine masculine, right? I feel like there is something around money, there is something around abundance, your lack or lack thereof, balancing your inner divine masculine and feminine of I feel like the onus isn't really on money. It's like I know you guys want more, but you also are happy and content with what you've got. But there is this desire to have more abundance, and abundance could mean having the freedom to go anywhere on the whim, having the freedom to play out your morning in the very specific way that you want it to be played out, not having the restrictions of other people's goals or agendas or deadlines. Everybody's going to be different in this, but I feel that the divine masculines are also acknowledging their own father wound or their own financial wounds. And that's actually allowing the divine masculines to balance their own inner divine masculines and feminines within. What areas in the divine masculine's lives are being called to take aligned action? Oh, okay. Thank you, Spirit. King of Swords. Now, funnily enough, I went to put that down on the table and it landed on the King of Cups. So I feel they're being called to take action on how they feel. what I also see that divine feminines are acknowledging that they have dismissed this connection in the past and even in the recent past. I'm talking about like in the last few hours, days, weeks, that you've really tried to move on from this connection, and the inner divine masculine isn't letting you. Okay, a few cards came out. As soon as I said you're trying to reject the connection, Two of Cups, Wheel of Fortune, Five of Wands. You are open to a new connection that treats you like the queen that you are, like the empress that you are, divine feminines. You know your worth now way more than you did when you first met your twin flame. And you've taken this acknowledgement and learning and healing to elevate yourself. But you also know that you are worthy of being shown all of these elements of love, but you know you also need to show it to yourself. So you're being called to take aligned action on the things that you want, but it's also, you're also afraid that when you ask for what you want, you just might get it, right? You know, it's this dichotomy between previously you were worried that you wouldn't get it, so you wouldn't allow yourself to dream. And then when all these dreams and desires are coming through, like this source of algorithm, basically, you're being called to remind yourself of those dreams, of those wants, of those goals. You're being encouraged to pursue these certain purposeful actions. And it's allowing you to upskill your own inner divine masculines because you're reclaiming your power, but in a very gentle, auspicious, sovereign way. What is the old definitions of the divine masculines? The divine feminines are releasing the Queen of Swords. Come on, you guys. We literally had the divine masculines are breaking free from illusions with the King of Swords, and the old definition of masculinity that the divine feminines are releasing is the Queen of Swords. That's now two court card pairings, and we've got the Devil as I split the deck. Why is that important? Because the divine feminines know that they don't need to be harsh with their words to put their point across. That they have acknowledged tongues can be sharper than swords. They can make a big difference in the way they communicate or even not communicating at all. And the divine masculine realizes this, but the divine feminines are also realizing that they can acknowledge the security and the support from their inner divine masculines, and that gets to be their support. It's almost as if some of you might even be touching back up on your inner critic, and it's kind of like belittling and criticizing and pouring out some toxicity. But the divine masculines, inner divine masculines, are reaching out to the divine feminines to kind of support and heal and care for. So it feels as if previously you divine feminines have been of certain clairvoyance energy. You're predicting, you're like almost like an oracle energy, and you had previously had an inner critic, which has now turned into love. But then when it comes back up again in the most recent triggers of your childhood or anything that has come up recently, that voice is your inner divine masculine. So that voice is saying, why? Why is this troubling you? Why is this triggering you? It's as if your divine masculine is there right next to you, whispering in your ear. Like that's the type of energy that I'm getting, and you're not wrong. Like this isn't your voice, divine feminines, it's your inner divine masculine's voice playing out through the divine masculine's astral realm. That's pretty awesome. I did not expect that message to come through. Now, what's going on the divine masculine's thinking versus feelings? Oh, okay. Thinking versus feelings. King of Wands. One more card, please. We've got three kings now, and we have an emperor. So one more card, please. What are they feeling? So if they're thinking that they want this connection, they're passionate about this, they're feeling conflicted because of the old version of them selves, wasn't able to honor this connection. The Sun card is at the bottom of the deck. We've got the King of Wands and we've got the Death card. Why are these two cards important? Because the old version of the Divine Masculine, who used to pursue passion, thought that that's what they wanted. This is the inner conflict between their head and mind, their heart and mind. I don't know why I said head and mind. That's really interesting. So, where the divine feminines are having conversations with their inner divine masculines, which is also their own divine masculines. So, they're being astrally led into enhancing their own clairvoyant energy. The divine masculines are being open to, they're being open to that communication from the inner divine feminines. Okay, what's keeping the divine masculines stuck in the head and out of their heart? The Knight of Pentacles and the World card at the bottom of the deck. Okay, so if they're stuck in their head and out of their heart, the Nine of Cups wanted to come out, and the Six of Cups is at the bottom of the deck. I feel there's a lot of regret around an offer that had never been made. This type of abundance, this type of auspicious nature, this type of joy that they never pursued, they never spoke up about, they never revealed, not even to themselves. That's what's keeping them stuck and out of their heart. Okay, let's have a look at some support questions regarding the higher self or the divine feminines. How do you balance logic and emotion when making decisions, divine feminines? Oh my gosh, we've got the Temperance card. Eight of Swords at the bottom of the deck. What is this telling us? Well, the divine feminines genuinely know that they have been up in their head and they have been brooding. It's like a divine masculine type of brooding energy. Like they have been hurt and they're trying to get back to their younger selves, their higher selves. They're trying to balance this logic and emotion when making decisions. And these two cups that symbolized in the Temperance energy. Now we have the Page of Cups wanted to come out and the Knight of Cups. So they're making progression towards those Queen and King of Cups that came out for the Divine Masculine. So the logic and the emotions are very hard to balance at this time when you're triggered, but it's working. These triggers are working to help you heal. How is the divine feminine's fear of vulnerability blocking the divine masculines? Okay, the divine feminines are seeing images, painting pictures about the divine masculines walking away. Their greatest fear is abandonment. It's stopping you, divine feminines, from connecting deeper. What is the divine masculine being called to step into regarding their leadership? What is the divine masculine being called to step into regarding their leadership? Now, Seven of Swords, King of Pentacles. Now, it's so funny because the Seven of Swords is this person about to step into the trap. The King of Pentacles is this material abundance, the vision of them, which is, I feel like they're just unhappy on this throne. They've realized some material success, but there is this, something's missing. And they're going to sabotage this material success in some way. They're already in a leadership position, but they're going to be stepping into something new, but it also might be a trap. It could be a big lesson. So it's almost like I'm feeling like a Tower moment is coming along for the divine masculines, and it could be career, family, arguments, friendships. They're being called to step into leadership because the universe is going to show them through a very harsh lesson. What is the divine masculine soul mission or purpose, which is resurfacing? What is the soul mission and purpose? Five of Cups. The mission and soul purpose is to understand where they've caused themselves pain, where they've understood that they haven't been worthy, they've neglected their own emotional wellness. What are the blocks to self-worth or stepping into their power? What are the blocks to their self-worth? The blocks to their self-worth, 10 of Cups. That's what they've stopped. They've stopped wishing. They've stopped wishing for the Two of Cups. They've stopped wishing for the 10 of Cups. They've stopped believing the abundance is where they are right now. They've stopped asking the universe for things. They've stopped desiring things, the Star card at the bottom of the deck. They've been blocking their own power. How is the divine masculine playing small instead of standing in their truth? Knight of Cups in the inverse. Yeah, they're not really giving themselves an opportunity to step into their power because it's going to take them down a different path. It's going to take a lot of sacrifice and it's going to take them in a different path. And the divine masculines are quite hesitant of that. That's where I'm getting those Two of Swords type of energy. What is the divine masculine embody? And what does their heart-led leadership look like? What is the divine masculines needing to embody? And what does the heart-led leadership look like? Oh, okay, now it's got the King of Pentacles that wanted to come out. So they are in a leadership position that they actually are thriving. They are wanting to embody that, the Lovers and the Three of Pentacles. So, you know, when I said this is the King of Pentacles that looks like something is missing? Well, when they find the connection within themselves, they honor who their worthiness is. They actually lead with their heart. They get to build something that is going to leave other people in awe, and it's also going to leave other people with a higher sense of purpose and leadership and mission. How is the divine masculine mirroring the feminine's growth? How is the divine masculine mirroring the Page of Cups? See, this is what I was saying about the divine feminines. You're going through the stage by stage approach by honoring your own flow of emotions and healing in layers. And the divine masculine sees that. They're mirroring this growth. Yeah, the Hanged Man in the inverse and the Two of Cups at the bottom of the deck. So before we had the Hanged Man in the upright, which meant that the divine masculines were stagnant. Do you remember I was saying between the Judgment, the awakening, and then the movement, which was the Chariot? This is the Hanged Man in the inverse, saying when they are able to better take care of themselves and honor their emotions and go through their own healing, the divine feminine's mirroring this growth between the both of you. Like, you're not separate, you are both one. And this growth is actually enabling the divine masculines to be fed, to be nurtured through the divine feminine's higher self. And this love is actually coming into inner union first before outer union can take place. What is the divine masculine's healing to come into inner union? What is the divine masculine's healing to come into the inner union? Okay. The Queen of Pentacles. So this is the third court card pairing. They came across as the divine masculines, King of Pentacles, where something was missing. When they nurture themselves and they love themselves, they're now representing the Queen of Pentacles. What does this mean? The outer is the King of Pentacles, the inner is the Queen of Pentacles. So they need to nurture their own sense of abundance to come into this inner union. They're healing what they had been missing or perceived to be missing in the external, and the Two of Cups is still at the bottom of the deck. That's outer union. What is the shifts happening in the 3D or the 5D? Oh my God, the Two of Cups now wanted to come out again. Are they happening in the 3D or 5D? I feel like it's in between. It's happening in the 2D, the 3D, the 4D, the 5D, the 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. It's happening because of the alchemical spread of these shifts, that the timeline isn't relevant because it's happening simultaneously. What is the part of the inner divine feminine of being called to balance? What is the inner divine feminine being called to balance? The Three of Pentacles, the Lovers at the bottom of the deck, and the Queen of Pentacles wanted to come out. Three of Pentacles, the Lovers, Queen of Pentacles. This is the divine feminine's restating, reclaiming their own sense of balance, their own sense of freedom, their own sense of love, their own sense of higher dimensional power that's going to come into balance with their inner feminine first before it can claim the inner divine masculine, inner feminine. How does your connection reflect your current state of union within? What is happening with the current reflection of the state of union within? What is happening for the current state of union within? Page of Pentacles. There is this offer of love to self, for self, in honor of self. That's what the union within is asking them to do. Come into a state of unparalleled support that hasn't really been nurtured before. Probably has been nurtured, but probably hasn't been honored. What is being purged for the wounded divine masculine? The Knight of Cups. You know, the divine masculines all have always wanted to be that knight in shining armor, but they didn't think themselves worthy enough. So they couldn't play that role if they couldn't really embody that. But the process of healing and overcoming the trauma wounds and also acknowledging that they are able to receive what they desire, the Six of Pentacles at the bottom of the deck, means that they have avoided, they've been angry, they've been in control or seemingly in control, they've been shut down. Those patterns are being purged because they weren't able to acknowledge, healing their father wounds, ancestral burdens, learning about emotional safety, learning about vulnerability and expression. What is the divine masculine still carrying as protection that is rooted in pain? What is the divine masculine carrying as protection, but actually is rooted in pain? The Six of Cups. They have purposely pushed you away because they didn't seem worthy of the connection. So they purposely pushed you away. They've purposely ghosted you. They've not been in contact with you because they never thought that they were good enough for you. What does the safety of divine masculine feel like in your body? The Temperance card. As above, so below. When the divine feminines can honor their own sense of abundance and nurturing of self, it actually enlivens the passion and the desire and the wish fulfillment for the both of you. Okay, can we get one last message about what's coming up in the near future for these divine masculines and feminines? Oh, the Empress. So we already had the Emperor card come out. We already have the King and Queen of Pentacles, the King of Queen of Swords, the King and Queen of Cups, the Emperor and the Empress. There's a finality, and the Hanged Man at the bottom of the deck. They can't move unless you move, divine feminines. You moving in the astral, in the spiritual, in the inner world is actually giving them the strength, the courage, the confidence to move with their own power. This power is giving them the ability to rise up into the depths of their leadership energy, the leadership that they've needed to protect themselves, to honor themselves, to bring about this new reality that they couldn't fathom. They wouldn't allow themselves to dream because of the lack mentality, of the wounding, of the purging. And the divine feminines are also acknowledging that once they heal, they acknowledge their worthiness, that this actually enhances the connection way more than had previously given credit for. So the more the divine feminines heal, the more kinder you are to yourself. The inner divine masculines is reciprocal to that energy, is in tune with that frequency, but they also need to establish a sure footing around this honoring kindness to themselves so they can lead in this connection, so they can be the divine masculine energy in the external as well as the internal, but it has to happen in the internal first. I loved these messages. You know, if you want a full tarot spread layout between you and your own divine masculines and feminines, hit me up at divinesacredtarot.com. If you want to join the community, we do monthly readings, weekly newsletters, exclusive videos. That can all be found on my website too. And if you are just here for free content, please do click the like button, subscribe if you can, and support this small community. And I love you guys so much. Bye for now.